That's all. No. Okay, I'll introduce our head table here. Well, I guess he's still walking up there, but my far right, your left here, Bill Costello, board member, past president. You already heard from Dave Napier from Indian Christian Church. My far left, your right over here, we have Mark Taylor, Larry Taylor's son. And our guest speaker today is Larry Taylor. At this time, I'd like to recognize our sponsors: All Cares Primetime Health Plan, Dr. Peter Ferguson, Liberty Ford, Mary Motley Scholarship Fund, the Bistro of Green, Spartan Sports Ohio, and Wilkshire Golf Club. Give them a hand. I think today we have another birthday today. I was supposed to mention Dick Kaufman sitting back there in the back, 81 years old, 81 today. Somewhere back here, Dick Kaufman. There you go. Happy birthday, Dick. One thing I thought to mention again last week, we had the history books again for sale. If you need one, $11 in the back. These history books, a great wealth of information of all the different pictures, speakers, past presidents, everything in this book. Really good job. You want one in the back, have them for sale after the meeting itself. $11. Buckeyes had a great another win this past weekend, shutout win. They still remain number one. They have a bye week this week. They'll be facing Penn State November 1st. Be a good game there. Browns had a good win in the rain. I know some of you guys win. I talked to some of you guys went to the game. The rain wasn't as windy as I thought they would be, but a good win there against the Dolphins on Sunday. High school football, week 10 already. Can't believe it already this season, week 10. Big rivalry week. Of course, you have McKinley Madison this week, East Canton and Malvern. I'll be at that one. I'm an East Canton grad. I'll be at that one there. Jackson Hoover, Glen Oak Perry, some other ones too. I can't name them all, but some of these games have playoff implications, seeding implications, how people are going to play in the playoffs, the new system we have here. Really good. It's going to be a fun weekend for high school football. NBA season starts tomorrow. The Cavs play, I think, Wednesday against the Knicks. Yeah, right? Play the Knicks on Wednesday on ESPN. So that'd be a good NBA season start here for us. We'll be back to the Hall of Fame again on November the 14th. That's a Friday again with Earl Campbell. We'll be speaking with the Hall of Famer Earl Campbell at the Hall of Fame. We're selling tickets next week, the week after. Back in the back for those 2 weeks for the Hall of Fame again on November 14th. So remember that on that Friday. Again, that Monday that week, it won't be here, but that Friday will be at the Hall of Fame. Trying to think what else on my notes here. Well, one thing too during question and answer time, as you remember in the past, Frank Solano will have the microphone. He'll come around, wave your hand if you have a question during the question and answer time. We'll bring in the microphone to speak. Helps us hear this question a little better for the question and answer time. Today's trivia question. Last week we talked about Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins. Don Shula is the NFL's all-time wins leader with 347 career wins. Which Hall of Famer is coach is second on the list? What's that? George Halas. There you go. How many wins? You know how many wins he had? A few? A few less than Don Shula, right? He had 324 wins. Then Don Shula passed him up, after that. So, 324 for George Halas. Club illnesses, we have one. Terry Williams is having open heart surgery this weekend, I believe. Bill told me. Yep, so Terry Williams, pray for him. Terry Williams. Takes 50-50. It's $162. 162. Wade has the money. And Larry's going to draw for us.
It's mine.
one. Number 929 950 950. Last three is 950 9950. Wade, have it there. Wade, you got it. Yep. Winner back to the back. Thank you.
Well, I made one friend.
Made one friend today. There you go. Next week's speaker is a world champion wrestler, Ray McDonald. Be next week here at the Toesies. And today's introductional speaker is Mark Taylor, Larry Taylor's son.
You guys all hear me all right? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor to introduce a man who's dedicated his life to the game and to the growth of every athlete who has been fortunate enough to play for him. Head coach Larry Taylor. Coach Taylor has built a reputation as a passionate leader, teacher of the game, and a mentor who brings out the best in his players. Over the years of his coaching career, he's guided teams to multiple championships and 2 state Final Four appearances. But more importantly, he has inspired many young men to become leaders, teammates, and role models. His coaching philosophy is centered on hard work, discipline, and unity, values that extend way beyond the court. Coach Taylor believes that success comes not only from talent, but character and commitment, which is what he instills in every player who wears his team colors. Please join me in giving a warm welcome and a round of applause to a true leader, motivator, and mentor, my dad, head coach Larry Taylor.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mark, for that. Jeff, thank you. Hall of Fame Luncheon Club, thank you. But I think I need to turn the mic back over to that young man. He's quite a story, but he's how many years at Jackson Fire now? Total. 11 full years as a firefighter, paramedic. Went back to SWAT medic school or whatever he had to be trained in against his mother and my will. Especially that wonderful mother of his sitting over there, but he has a wife and 2 beautiful boys, a baby girl, and God be with them, but I think he deserves a round of applause, not me. So once again, I want to thank the Hall of Fame Luncheon Club for having me again. I was here before, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But RJ, thank you out there. Appreciate you getting a hold of me and doing this again on a pinch hit note. But Ray Boom Boom Mancini was, I guess, going to speak today. And I don't know how. Maybe we were going to share the stage, talk about boxing, and I talk about basketball. So those of you that were expecting Boom Boom Mancini, I'm not him. Right off the bat. But I have a story. So I will be able to entertain you a little bit about boxing. When I was a young kid, I grew up in Canton. A lot of people didn't realize that, which I will get to in a minute. And one of my favorite places, I think a lot of you in here will agree with me. It's not the Taj Mahal over by Sowers Junior High School Boys Club. It was the one on Duggar Avenue and Navarre Road with shooting drugs right there on the corner. And yeah, I got caught stealing candy bars out of there. He swatted us with a deck paddle, and then he sent our asses home. And my dad said, "You stealing again?" I said, "No, yeah, you were." So they had a way of solving things at the boys' club. If you got in scrap, you got to go upstairs and we got the box. How many of you got to do that? Anybody? Yeah, that's our guys. And I boxed pretty good, I guess. I grew up 7, 12 in my family, so I guess we fought for dinner and everything else. But in the end, I went upstairs and boxed and went well. So Ronnie Harris at that time was Golden Gloves guy. And a good buddy of mine, Mike Strum, was the only one of us who survived it all. But I thought I could be a Golden Glove boxer. And they actually gave me a set of boxing gloves. And to say the least, it wasn't a long boxing career. I took them home. We were boxing in the basement, and my brothers bloodied up my nose, and I spit blood into the commode. My father was a 44-year steel mill worker at Temple Motor Brand Company, Harrison Avenue. And he went to take a leak and there's blood all in this commode. So you can imagine. So I had to tell him it was me and my bloody nose. And my dad took the boxing gloves, threw them away. Thank God for my mother. She's a saint. She dug them boxing gloves out. I said, Mom, those are from the boys club. I got to take those back. So she dug them out, gave them back to me. I took them back, and my Golden Gloves career ended with that. So I'm not sharing that with you. With those of you that want to hear a boxing story. I did speak here before, and it went okay. I was trying to figure out a basketball guy from Jackson speaking at the Hall of Fame football luncheon. And I was a little nervous to say the least. And I got advice to relax. Tell them a joke. Tell them a joke. If they laugh, you're in. If they don't, good luck, dude. So I told the joke, and I'll be damned, nobody laughed. Okay, let's go another round. So one of the gentlemen in the audience raised his hand and asked me if he could give me some advice. I said, yeah, sure, go ahead, whatever. He said, if you want us to hear you, speak louder and clearer. If you want us to see you, stand up proud and strong. If you really want us to appreciate you, set your ass back down, let us ask you questions. So I took all my notes, so much for that, but it was a great experience for me. Everything that I've been able to do in this career of mine, I feel I've been so blessed to be able to stand up here and do this again. And I tell a lot of kids, a lot of the young men across, not just on the basketball courts. I was a 31-year teacher at Jackson. I loved it. I'm still at Massillon, Washington High School doing my thing with kids who don't feel school is important. I'm trying to get them a second chance to realize that you can't quit, you can't give up, no matter what your parents, whatever your family is like. I'll continue to do that until the day. It has nothing to do with the Tiger football. It has nothing to do with me being the basketball coach at Massillon. It has everything to do with not being hypocritical of trying to make kids better than you were yesterday or today. So I'm still doing those things. And I thought about talking about different things, awards and rewards and all the things going. I know I talked to Jamie a little about Jamie Bowsley about possibly coming, and he didn't want to do that. He's just not there right now. So I decided to do a little timeline of why and how I'm able to stand here. I'm being so blessed along the way. And I think it'll lead to some more questions. So as I walked in, I had a group of young men back there. We're not young, but we'll call ourselves young. They're my McGregor school guys. When I went to McGregor school, there was two things that happened there. One was the boys club that we loved, and then we would travel all over the city to different playgrounds. You guys remember all that stuff? Anybody in here that remembers traveling and playing softball? And we had a young, back then, a young man, Timmy Gatz, who would take his car. We would ride our bikes and we would go to Cedar. We'd go to Worley. We'd go to Summit. We'd go play softball. There was the Myers Lake Indian place where you got to throw a softball, play checkers, all that stuff. It was the most competitive thing that I had really never thought was possible. That we could organize that. People look and go, what are you talking about? I said, every summer we would have supervisors at our playgrounds. And we hung out there all the time. Then my father had a great idea, and that was to move us to Canton South, take his favorite plant out of Canton City before we all ended up at the DH. He would say that all the time. Come on, man. We're not that bad, all right? My mother said, yeah, you are. So we moved to Canton South. And I attended Walker Junior High School, and I'm a city kid who moved out to Canton South. I don't have to say anything more. Red Ash and Kenny Nolan, Lincoln against Canton South is enough. So you know what I'm talking about. It wasn't easy. I was going to quit. I wanted to play football, basketball. I had two men that maybe you'll know them, maybe you won't. The first one was a football coach named Russ Briggs. 40 plus years of staying at Walker Junior High School, just coaching us guys and teaching math. And what an amazing man he was. He had passed not long ago. And another one you'll probably know, my basketball coach was a man named Sam Persis. They go, what, the mayor? I said, yep. He was my language arts teacher. He loved us so much that he coached 7th grade. I'd say this. And then he moved up to 8th grade with us. And he had a little talk with me when things weren't going well, and he just told me two things. One, you're better than you think you are. And number two, don't you ever quit. So that allowed me to move on to Canton South High School, where I had a great career, had a lot of great people that kept us going. When things got tougher, my football coach was a tough coach, Ray Belisari. He knew that we didn't have much money, and he was one of those guys that would not give us a nickel. He made us go down and roof his garage. Then he gave us a nickel. I said, man, a nickel? Okay. But he was a great man, and it was a struggle for him as our coach. As I look back now, versus being a coach where I'm at to what they had done for us. When we looked at the basketball situation, we talk about Red Ash and what he was able to do, but unless you were a Camp South guy, you just didn't realize what this man did for so many. I quit basketball. It was the toughest thing that I had to do. Football came easy, baseball came easy, basketball was difficult, and he probably did more for me to move on from Camp South than anybody, even my football coach, because our coach left us and went back to Columbus. And probably the main guy in my life, in my top 5 guys of my lifetime, he just passed away recently, was Tim Miller, my baseball coach. What an amazing man. I would not be here today. I know that sounds like cliches, but my guys who played for me, they know who I am. I'm not a cliche guy. I live it. You're going to live it. And he was quite an amazing person for all the years that I knew him. But in the end, he became that person who gave me my best advice as I moved on to Jackson. My first year at Jackson was difficult at best. I was young. Joe Larson, another great man in my life, my top 10. Magnolia, down Waynesburg, really. I know all that stuff about Joe. And he said, you're a young whippersnapper and I'm not going to hire you. As a basketball coach at Jackson, I thought, what the hell? Okay. Because I'm a whippersnapper or whatever you know. And he said, you're too young and I don't want you to fail because you're young. I want you to succeed because you understand how this works. Best advice I ever had. He wanted stability, he wanted discipline at Jackson. He needed somebody to stay here and build this thing the way it's supposed to be built by his eyes. And our Board of Education, great guys, Don Benson, John Doherty, these guys, Bob Weistar, Marion Mans, God bless her. What a great lady she was. And to give a young guy that opportunity at that school is something you don't take lightly. But I knew one thing from my father where he told me, surround yourself with good people. That's going to get you to where you want to take those boys at Jackson. So that was a great thing for me to be able to experience that at a young age. We brought the stability there. We did the best we could. I know Jamie and a lot of the kids went through there, but Brody Harris here today. Brody knows, they all know, all the guys. Teddy Mahoney's back there, fireman. He was one of my basketball managers. They all mean the same to me. That's the one thing they will always say. That coach treated us all the same. I know Vince Lombardi was noted for that from the Jerry Kramer book, where Jerry Kramer has a quote in there. He said, what was Vince Lombardi like? He said, one great thing about Coach, he treated us all the same. And that's something that you got to remember about him. And they said, well, what was the problem? He said, well, he treated us all like damn dogs. So there's something to that. I hope that's not me, though. Is it, Brody? No? Okay. Maybe just puppies. Treat like puppies. Put peeing on the carpet, Brody. So anyways, from Canton South and to Jackson, and my coaching career began. I had a stop at Breck Mueller Scales. I went to YSU, didn't last long. A lot of things they don't tell you about. When you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of things going in your life, a lot of support systems. It's a tough gig. A couple of injuries here and there, and it didn't work out well. So I came back home, and I was a truck scale builder, big truck scale. And everybody listening, I said, no, I Breck Mueller, Kim Breck Mueller. And once again, there was 2 men there that were absolutely awesome. Art Koveski, and I think before Art left Breck Mueller Scales, he had probably close to 50 years there. Never left Canton South, loved everything. He had children. He had Kevin Koveski played some baseball with us. And he said, you know what, I'm going to get Clyde Breck Mueller to fire you. Because every time I talk to you, you have this other passion out there And here comes Tim Miller back into my life again. He said, and they did, they fired me. I said, what am I going to do now? I got this car, I got a hot girlfriend sitting over there. I didn't have that kind of money in my pocket. So he took me up to Kent State Stark. He said, I'm going to enroll you in classes. He did. He drove me up there. And I didn't want to go to Kent Stark because all I ever heard it was called Frank Road High, where anybody who ain't anybody, you go to Stark State, Spartan, or you're a Cobra at Kent Stark. And I loved it there. I really did. It was another great experience. I met some guys for a lifetime. Jonesy, Pfeiffer, those guys, our coach. Scott Haynes was a great guy from LSU, wanting to make it all the way up to the top. So that experience was great for me. And then I moved on from Jackson. Stayed there, got to see my children go through. And I owe a ton of gratitude, just a ton. And I mean that sincerely to Maslin. They did more for me than they think they did because I thought my career had ended at Jackson. That was it. You get fired from Jackson, you're not sure what's going on. Why? You know, what do we have to do to, and that was, I learned this then. I really started learning. I learned it from a guy that used to have Tom Landry from the Cowboys and all the things that he did. And he was let go. Just let go. Look at this guy at Penn State. That's it. You're good, you're gone. You lose 3 games. And I love what Coach Saban said to him the other day about you. You're the one who put Penn State right there at number 1. You're the one who did all this. But in the end, what happened? So I thought I was out of the game. I really did. And then all of the guys, I know I see Nick Privich here today, Nick and Ron, and I'm not going to start naming names because I greeted you all when I came here, and you don't know what that means to me, obviously, but I think you could appreciate that. So Massey gave me a chance to get back in the game that I love, do what I love. And believe me, I applied at places out there, and it was interesting how I was told that you're over qualified. Your resume is too much for us. And I thought, dang. Okay. So I wish I was just a recovering drug addict with a ponytail, tattoos all over me, and say, hey, what's up, man? I coach your basketball team. Come on, man. I don't know. But anyways, it hurt a little bit. But once again, all those cliches that my father taught me, save your tears. You're going to need them someday. And pain is nothing but weakness leaving your body. So keep going. So I'm grateful to Massey for what they did for me. They got me back in the game. I still believe it's one of the top jobs in Ohio because Ohio and Stark County is the #1 place. I don't care about Texas. I don't care about their places. Look what we have here. So I was so thrilled and honored to take that job. Do the best I could at a football school. Well, that's labels. I'm not a label guy. I don't like it. I think it's hurting our society right now with labels. It's an opportunity for me to take some of those kids and make them feel like it does feel like at 2:00 on a Saturday afternoon. And that's the motivation I use there. And then I can thank Gary on Conley's and Smitty and all those guys that, came back and all the players, Chris Philman, all of that. But I don't have to name those guys. They're the ones that just allows me to do what I did at NASA. Take an average young man and make him feel like $1 million if we can. But if we're going to do that by just measuring wins and losses, it's going to be difficult. So I'm still at Maston. I still love it there. I really do. And until I feel that fire go out or I don't believe in kids anymore, then I'll quit doing this. But it ain't going to happen. TCC was another stop for me, a call for me. A friend of mine, Mike Sweet, I coached his son when he played at Tusky Valley. And small world. They needed a basketball coach, and we talked for about 2 hours. And I thought that's what it was going to be, and it ended up being, can you talk to our principal, Jen Calvo, for a little bit? I said, sure. And then she's all excited about me being a basketball coach. I said, whoa, okay, let me talk to my boss first here. I'll go home and think about this for a minute. They didn't even say go home and think about it. And I said, well, you're going to interview anybody? Or no, we just need somebody to come in here and try to. So I did that for 3 years, and it was a great run. One of my assistant coaches, Dave Crozier, give that guy a big hand right there. Good man. Good man. He stayed beside me the whole way there. His grandson played there, and I thought we did some really good things in that IBC. But that wasn't my goal. My goal was to once again get these kids feeling great, value yourselves a little more, self-esteem, stay up there, stop judging yourself by winning and losing. Losers do all that. They make excuses, they cry, they bellyache, they complain about the officials, and all of a sudden I caught myself. I say, damn, that's me. I better be quiet. Like the officials in here. So keep carrying it here. All right, Keith. We're forgiven. So in the end, TCC was a great 3 years for me and my family. And in the end, I thought that was good enough. And then I got a call from some great guys in Coventry. George Fisk, I think you know him, was at McKinley for a while. He's the superintendent there. Donnie Shentz, I played baseball with Donnie. Tim Bogus, I didn't realize the little connect I had at Coventry High School. They called me in May and we chat, and talked about what had just happened with their program. And would you be willing to take on these comments? And I said, yeah, let's do it. Wait, let me check with my boss first. So I went home and talked to my beautiful wife, Cindy. Been married for 45 years. And for 22 of those years, I was never there. So that's how we lasted that long. I think she could never put no time. So I told her about Coventry. And she goes, where do I sign your contract at? I'll sign it for you and get back up there. So, but that's it's been a good start so far at Coventry. We're building it the right way. Saturday we had a little get together with the little guys because that's what I do. We had about 30, 40 kids up there that were involved, the little guys. We had 97 kids on Saturday. And I thought, don't do what we did before. So we had enough adults to make it a great experience for them. I met with over 200 parents in the cafeteria. Custodians charged us $210 for it. I thought, here's our bumps in the road. This is our school, taxpayers paying for this, and we have to pay for a custodian on a Saturday. And I said, stop it, Larry. I'm sorry. Don't do that. Okay, so, wait a minute. Okay, here. But it went very well, so I'm glad to be there. I was kidding those guys. They go, you're a cornball sometimes. I said, thank you. Appreciate that. I said, when I take this job, I'm going to tell our kids, your goal is to get to the moon. And if you don't make it to the moon, you'll still be a star. And then from that star, there'll be a comet flying by. Never mind, we're not offering you this game. I said, okay, I'll quit me. So anyways, Coventry was it's going to be a good run for me. And I've always believed 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years. And longevity in our coaching is going to get more difficult with all of these crazy things going on in college and paying kids. Bob Huggins, who I love to death, him and my 2 brothers were born in the same hospital, West Virginia. That's where I was from. I was going to tell the West Virginia joke about the 3 biggest lies, but then I thought, no, I wouldn't be invited back again. So he was telling us that there's going to come a day when you're probably not going to get to coach your best kids in your high schools anymore. They're going to be gone. And I'm telling you right now, there's conversation about the shot clock in basketball. I get that question all the time. And then the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to take your kids away from you. They're going to call it travel. They're going to call it money. It's here. It's here. Whatever we're doing with our college guys, whatever we're doing with those, I don't get it. I don't get it. I'll say it for a second, then I'll move on. Because in the end, you're losing a fan base. You're losing us. The Cleveland Browns are losing us as fans. If I'm maybe fantasy guy or if I bet, I'm like, I can't believe the amount of betting that's going on with my nephews. Then I'll probably stay engaged a little bit. But those true fans, where we really did live and die by our Browns on Sundays, it's difficult. Our Buckeyes, we're rooting for our quarterback this year. And then next year he's at Texas. Come on now. But they said you have to get used to that. That's what you old guys get for getting old. I said, ooh, don't say that to us. I'll cut all these guys loose on you out here. So in the end, I think it's a good state where we're at. Mark, how am I doing time-wise? We okay? A little bit longer yet? Good. Because I haven't started yet. So I don't want to get off on that rant, but I think in the end, when we look at what's happened in Stark County now, when I was a young guy coming, and now you're able to see all of the athletes, all of the coaches, it's all city night. That was amazing. And you just hope and pray that maybe someday there'll be something to match that. You know, the Massillon McKinley game, I've always judged that by the entire state of Ohio. I don't care what people say or do. That is amazing when we think about it. And I think sometimes we take it for granted, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, not to put a plug in for them, but I've talked to people that said, I've never even been in there yet there's people come from other countries to see that. And I always thought, never take advantage of what that is. And that's why I'm so thankful to be up here with all of the people that have stood here before. And to be able to say that I'm born and raised in Stark County now. I learned what it took to be a blue collar kid. I knew what it felt like to get cut from a baseball team, cry and go home, walk home. When I first was trying out for baseball, I got cut from the basketball team at Walker Junior High School. My father worked afternoons. I walked home from Walker Junior High School all the way down to North Industry by myself and cried all the way home. So to say that we can continue to keep the faith, keep your strength, let those downfalls drive you further and further. That's how I get to stand up here today. So I can't say enough to all those people that got me here. They got me here. So in the end, I did want to mention that just Stark County in general, all the friends that I've made, the Randy Montgomerys, football guys, the Lou Daddy when I was a kid. I remember trying to hitchhike all city night. And Don Edmonds at Lehman, and of course, Red Ash. And then it grows and grows and grows. But my fear is we're not going to remember much of that because we're bouncing around, we're coming and going. I don't know. It's just a thing that I needed to say to feel good about Stark County in general. The last time I spoke, I did not do that. And I wanted to make sure that that came out. So in the end, ending this thing, I've gotten to speak with Jamie a lot, and I'm not going to apologize, but Jamie it's not his thing. He is the chaplain for Akron Youth Basketball now. He found the way, he found the faith, he understood what comes from prayers. He did not at one time. And there's nobody going to be able to discipline you or pound that into you. And I told Jamie that when he was a young man, got into things like we all did. We all did. And being in that spotlight, it's like you're not allowed to be a teenager. You're not allowed to be a kid. You're not allowed to do that at Ohio State. You're not allowed. And in the end, I can't tell you how many kids I've sat down, cried with, hugged with, talked with. Brody had a little bit of a tough time at Jackson. And I think what keeps us strong, what keeps us going, and I think in the end, it is our foundation. So I always, I spoke at many churches, youth groups, and when it was quick, I talked about the 4 F's that I think that allow us to keep our life in order. It's faith, friends, family, and failure. And then I'll get the question of why not success at that 4th F. And I told him, you'll never succeed unless you have failed. You have to fail. And if you didn't fail, then I don't think it's going to be that important. Maybe it is personally to you. But in the end, I think our faith in our Lord and Savior, God above, has gotten me to this point because there's nobody that can make it through this world on their own. You're just not going to be able to do that, especially when the failures start to hit you. And there has to be a belief within us. It can't be from the mind to your mouth. It has to be from your heart and your soul. And I've said that so many times. When it's there, God didn't put us here to be perfect, but He certainly put us here to work towards it. That's for sure. And then family, I cannot speak enough about family. My family, Sarah, and here, my son, beautiful Victoria. My wife, Cindy. Diane. It means the world to me. It always did. My own family, to be able to be here today and being that kid almost born in West Virginia, I get shook. Thank you, Dad. Thanks for heading towards Michigan to see your brother. His car broke down in Canton, Ohio. Thank you. You tell me there's not a Lord above? And that is true. That is true. My father was Pine Grove, West Virginia. He was driving to see his brother. And Ewing Chevrolet took his car in and fixed it for him, and he got a job at $1.85 an hour at Temkin Roll Repairing Company. 48 years later, thank you, Lord, working great ways. So the friends, friends, you got to keep it in perspective. A lot of our young people today, they put their friends above everything else, above their parents. And that's a tough go, guys. You're gonna find that out. That friends sometimes are not strong enough to be there for you when you need them the most. But mom and dad will. God bless the grandmas and grandpas in Massillon that I'm working with now, because if not, some of our kids would really, really so. And finally, in ending, once again, Phil, I got to listen to Muhammad Ali talk. And Muhammad Ali said, I knew one thing, that I always had to get up off of that canvas one more time and they knocked me down. And life's going to knock you down. You got to get up one more time. When you get up one more time, you're doing good. But we went down and listened to the Christian rally with Franklin Graham down in Washington, D.C. And he had a little bit to that when he said, it's not so much you pulling yourself up when you got knocked down one more time. How many people in your lifetime did you help up? That's the true sign that somebody's going to make a difference in people's lives. I hope and pray that Seth was able to do that in my career. I didn't do it as a young guy, but I grew to learn that. So those are the things I'm so grateful for. I'm so thankful for you all here today to allow me to do this. Thanks again to Jeff, everybody here, and God bless all of us in this room. God bless our President of the United States to keep this thing going strong, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Question, Jim's and answers. Frank Salone is back here waving at me.
You already brought up the point of the shot clock, so I'm not gonna address that. What are the three best playoff venues in the state of Ohio?
The three best
Playoff venues in the state.
playoff venues,
Courts, arenas, stuff like that.
the three best for basketball, or I know one thing, St. John's Arena in Columbus, Ohio was a happening. And that's what I worry about. When they moved to the Schottenstein Center, I think we lost a whole lot of good basketball stuff from bartering for tickets and the books we would go down there with and all that good stuff. So St. John's was a great thing. I don't think you can beat Fawcett Stadium, and everybody look at me, it's Benson Stadium. I said, I know Fawcett Stadium over here is a great venue for all that good stuff going on. And I think baseball, I'm hearing great things about the Akron, are they the Rubber Ducks? I guess that's a beautiful stadium for kids to play in and get that experience. But even at our age, our old guys are still playing down at Munson Stadium. So that's my soft spot. So thank you for that question. I appreciate it. Hope I answered it correctly.
Coach Taylor,
Yes,
it's great to have you here
thank you.
and your wonderful family too.
Yes, aren't they awesome?
And let me say, you don't need jokes in your speech.
Thank you.
Your speech was so inspirational, I think, to everyone that you're great. And I do want to thank you also for all the thrills and chills that you gave the Jackson community.
Thank you.
We loved every minute of it.
Didn't we? And as a matter of fact, Tom Chain, our principal, I still carry his note with me. And he wrote me a note that said, even though we've had our ups and downs, you came here to bring stability, but you made us a family, a Jackson basketball family, and we'll forever be grateful to you. And that goes with me everywhere I go. So thank you.
And thank you. And tell Jamie Bosley we missed having him here too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I will. Thank you.
Hi, Coach.
Pat, how are you, my friend? Sorry I didn't see you over there.
Okay, we think about coming for you, joining the Pac-7, and you think that's a good move, leaving the MAC and basketball?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Donnie Shentz was one of the first organizers when he was at Northwest, Pat, that was big in getting that Pac-7 going. And I'm not sure the dynamics of why they went to the MAC, the Metro Athletic Conference, but this is the last year that will be in that, and then we'll be back to the original. I think CBCA will be out of the pack. It'd be nice to go play a lot of our games around here. Let our Stark County people see us, see me again, so that'll be a good thing. Yeah, the Pac-7's a great conference. Always has been, always will be. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate that question.
Yeah, Coach, do you have any good Jamie Bosley stories you could tell us?
Boy, once upon a time, there was 3 little pigs on crack cocaine and come on, guys, I said to do that. You can ask them. Ask him. They go, why do you always say that? I said, well, because I don't really have a simple answer for them. But a Jamie Bosley story, man, where do we start? I think the biggest thing is, and I can't downplay this, he had a heart of gold. That kid had a heart. He was an emotional young man. For him to play like he did and to see him off the court and what he had to deal with at times, my story is pretty simple. He's an amazing success story of what you can do when you finally find your faith in your way and what your purpose on God's earth was all about. And Jamie found that. So that's my Jamie Bosley story. He's a great young man. He's Max's son, plays at Wadsworth, he's at Malone. And we're all success stories when we can do that, make our lives go better than they were before. So appreciate that question.
You said you worked with the kids over in Aspen. They say you worked with the kids at high school or
Yeah.
boys club?
The whole district, they hired me as the basketball coach, and Rick Goodwright, our superintendent, and Brad Warner was our principal. There was an issue with attendance, and the new House Bill 410 had came out at that time, where the state was getting deeper into our schools, which I wish I got on that podium again. I think we're on the right track. Department of Education needs to become a playground, but it put a lot of pressure on our schools to start accounting for kids. Not that we don't do that, but they wanted accountability back to Columbus, Ohio. Of course, they did. So that's my job. I enjoy it because there is rewards to it. I am the ultimate truant officer. I'm the only one that will file truancy charges on federal. What's that?
You still do it
Doing it now. On my 9th year at Maston, I love every day of it. Because there are kids who say, you know what, I guess I'll come back to school. It's not for my good young man or young lady, it's for you, it's not me. Thanks for the question. Appreciate it.
Coach, you brought up a name today that I would think has been mentioned in quite a few years, and that's Don Evans.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm a kid from the northwest of the town that was a Lehman Polar Bear fan. And the first time I saw you coach, I think was at the auditorium or a Good Jackson team. And I looked at you on the sideline and I said, damn, he acts like Don Evans. The white shirt, sport coat, take it off when you get mad. Complete control over the team. Did Don Evans have any influence on you?
You know what? That's a great question. Thank you for that. They all did. Freddie Harrell. I remember Freddie kicking him. And then I guess we all grow into our own, but just that all city night thing where, you know, you're looking at Bob Rupert, you're seeing those guys in the past. And then you got, you know, obviously Red Ash was huge in my life. I think you become your own person as you go through, but to say that you don't pick up things from great people, I still had to do my homework as soon as I took this job at Coventry. So I don't think we ever stop growing into who we are. I will say that a lot of people say you used to be pretty fiery and intense and what have you. That was in the day. And they said, have kids changed? Are things changing today? And my answer is, of course, they should. Well, God, what do you feel about those kids? I said, never, don't challenge me on kids. Adults around our kids, our parenting today. Okay, I don't want to go there because it's not going to be pleasant at times. But I think in the end, the package or the message that I delivered back then, I don't know, I got a picture of my wife with Laura Nemeth and Joey Nemeth and Jerry, God bless Jerry Nemeth, if you knew Jerry, passed away, but Joey played for me, Johnny Stewart, I had them both by the shirt, and we're playing, let me think, who would we be playing at the Civic Center in a big ass game? Oh, Camp McKinley. So we're playing McKinley, and I got them like this, of course, somebody takes a picture of them. And there's Joey, and there's Johnny Stewart, and there's me looking at the madman. And I thought, okay, this is kind of like that picture over there. I'm not sure who that is, but I think it's me. But anyways, so in the end, I wouldn't do that anymore. Because that wasn't what made us, it's what you did at that era. Tim Miller spoke at this very luncheon and mentioned my name, that he said very clearly, what we did to Larry Taylor when he was at Camp South, we would probably go to jail for today. And it's probably true, but it would never hurt us. It never hurt us. So my message is same message, just deliver it differently. You can't change who you are. If I change who I am, I'm not coaching anymore. I'm not going to, no. And it's not going to happen. What's going to happen is I'm going to be that same person with a little bit of a different delivery. And I believe in my heart that parenting and all that, and coaches should know that each one of your family, your children, you know that. They'll always say there's a dark sheep in the family. If there was, that's probably it. I don't know. But all of those labels, I still believe that our guys believe that they knew that I knew them. And I'll be honest with you, my 31 years in the classroom, I loved every single bell that rang, every day of it. You can ask my wife. I never came home with a day of regret. I love teaching. I love what I did. And God put me here. I found it. I'm here. And that's my purpose. And we're going to keep doing that. But don't think for 1 minute, Frank Solano, I ain't going to turn it up a little bit. And don't think for 1 minute over there, Keith Haring, I'm not going to look at you and say, really? Really? Are you going to give me a technical foul for thinking? He goes, no. I said, good, because I think you stink tonight. Bam. Thanks, Keith. I wish Keith was looking there. You'll understand.
I'll make sure I share that with you.
You'll share it with him.
I have a question though.
Sure.
That being said, now I know that you're a much calmer Larry Taylor. How many technicals did you have in your career?
You have a calculator? You know what? I did answer this one question in a good way. I don't know if there was many technicals that I didn't deserve or that I didn't expect. I will say that. But somebody said, man, you probably were ejected from so many games. And you were like, madman. And the answer was zero. I had never been ejected in a high school basketball game. I wouldn't go that far to downgrade anybody. I always thought I was arguing for our guys. They knew it. I think if some of the officials were here, I thank the Lord above that I gained their respect. When I was young, I was not that. But as I grew older, I realized that these guys are just doing the best they can. We're not going to have this game without them. So I told young coaches and all of us, we better start being punitive, guys. We really should, because we need these guys. And I think I felt better coaching again once I realized it. Yeah, but I've never been ejected. But technicals, I'm going to go count them. Yes.
Who are some of the favorite officials that you'd like to have when you were at Jackson, when you were playing a big game like McKinley, that might have liked you more than a lot of other officials?
That's all. I don't know if any of them like me. But I think I treated them all. I might be Vince Lombardi in this thing now. I treated them all the same. No, I did not. Well, when you're seeing the best, what I always felt, this is sad though. The best officiating I've ever had, I think, in any sport is when you didn't even know they were there. You didn't know they were there. When the game gets heated and a lot of things are going on, I think the guys that kept their composure the most were the ones that I measured. And I don't want to say the McKinley-Jackson game or the North Canton and late games, and Tommy McBride and all those things, and the great guys and the coaches, they're all big games. But I think they have a tendency to be able to lose their cool. And the best advice I had for them was, it's just a game. When this game is over, you got to go back to your family being who you are, and so do we. So I don't have specific names. I had great guys that are no longer officiating. Ozzy, those guys back in the day, Dick Saint, his children are still officiating. Keith Haring was an awesome official. We had a lot of good guys like that. And my personal relationship is they talked to you. And they would cross their arms, said, okay, I'm listening. You yell at me one more time, your ass is done. So don't yell at me. And I learned that. And that if you're gonna talk to me like your players, I'll never talk to you again. So those were the good officials. And believe me, we had a lot of them. We really did. We had some really good guys, young guys that came up through the ranks. And it's hard to measure that because basketball is a tough game to officiate. I'd rather be a baseball, I think, and just stand there and go, yeah, you're out. No, yeah. Check it. I don't know. I think you said basketball, block or charge. I don't know. There you go. So. Any others? Yes.
Yeah, Coach, if you had the authority today, what changes did you make on the college or even high school level for, what's happening in college sports, especially in basketball?
Well, thank you for the question. I think it's principles, value system. What are we valuing well, you don't understand these young people who are playing in our colleges today, they have needs too. And you're making money on that's not a good answer. I think what's going to happen to us is we're going to lose the value of playing for the Ohio State Buckeyes and pray to the Lord above that I could play here for 4 years and I get to play as a freshman. And all of those things that end up with a degree in my hand when I leave Ohio State, because we're selling those guys now that you're all going to be in the NFL, you're all going to be rich, and you're going to get. Yeah, I think that's the message. My fear is that it's going to end up getting worse before it gets better. So my advice to them is back away. And I've always said that anytime you've got to make a big decision or something like that, back away. I do it at my own work every day. I step back for a minute and say, where's this going? What are we going to do with this now that so to pay kids to go to school, universities was a good idea for a scholarship. Okay, that's to get you through your 4 years, maybe a fifth year now. Okay, we'll go there. But for you to come here, play for 1 year and get offered this to go over to there, I don't know. I think I've heard President Trump say it many times. Keep it simple. My goodness, common sense says that's not working. Who's it working for? And I think in the end, the athletes are going to feel this wasn't good for me to do this. I think, but we don't know. Time will tell how they feel about all this. But in the end, I think we can't. I don't think we can go back now. I think it's here to stay. I really do. And I pray the Lord above it doesn't come to our schools, because we're already getting a lot of difficult things with transfers and what have you. So, yes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna mention, there's, an issue coming up now with the OSHA, contemplating NIL money for high school athletes. Your feeling on that, any stronger than what you just said?
Not surprised. Disappointed. Yeah. Surprised. Amazingly. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm looking at the dynamics of it, from family, from just our school. How is that going to work? I don't get it. I see the advantage to the prep schools, the Oak Hill Academies, Moeller the one school in DC, the Matha. I see all that out there. I don't see Coventry. I'm trying to figure out how to get enough money to buy me a coaching shirt. So you think I'm going to give you money before I get a coaching shirt on this guy? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who's behind it. And Lord, I hope it doesn't come to our schools. Thank you for that question.
LT,
Yeah, Privilege, what's up, my man?
how would you change if you could, how our kids, do summer basketball? I know you always didn't believe in it, but summer league, they and all that. How would you change it if you could?
Well, I think we're rolling our kids too thin. I think we're asking a lot of them. We're doing a lot of specializing. We're doing a lot of individual instructions and training. And I think I am offended by it because my coaching staff at Coventry right now is Kurt Schaefer, was with Wackerly forever. My nephew out in Mount Vernon, great kid. I got great teachers and coaches. And I said, why Why are you sending your kid and giving this guy $150 an hour when these guys are so good at what they do? That was my job to hire these guys that can teach, that can train, that can condition. But he just want to keep playing and playing and playing. I think the game will be gone. So in the end, I think it just comes back, Nick, to you got to stop demanding so much time. Either that or let it all go. Because if you're going to put parameters on coaching days and you're going to tell us that everybody out there, every sport in high school, and I won't go through the whole rules with you, they can all just take these kids and go play for 10 days, 12 days, 14 days. They don't count middle school. Can we do that? The questions are still unanswered. And I think in the end, we have to have that window that says they have to be able to be kids with their families. The kids are afraid to go on vacation in the summers now. School's out. We're done. We're done. So what do I need you to do? My guys, I think you'll know as well as anybody, go play. You need to go play. Go down there at 25th Street where we used to play down there by the fire station. Go over to Perry. Coach Wilson would turn the lights on, Kansas South, Red Ashton drive by in that red Buick. And you look out there, if you weren't there, he'd let you know. Go play basketball out there like we did at one time. And I'm fearing that we may not get back to that there. We may not go play 5-on-5 in the backyard. Home run derby over the fence, neighbor's fence, hit the ball in the neighbor's yards, smash their flowers. Damn Taylor boys, I swear, oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's ever coming back. So in the end, I think we need to, OHSA has to step up. And I do believe they have to say enough. And my goodness, some of our schools have 32 varsity sports now. It's amazing. And what about that multi-sport athlete? Good luck with that. So thanks, Nick. I appreciate that.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you all. Thanks,
Next minute.
I see it.
Larry, nice job.
I got to turn it down now. I don't know. I know it worked till Sam got here.
I got nothing.